Hey, I greet you in divine love on today. I thank you for rocking with your girl, Raw Truth. I thank you for just tuning in on today to what's in the room. What's in the room today is hidden agendas and I spies. And I'm telling you, we got to be careful in this hour and in this season of those that are in our camp. We got to be careful of those that's trying to enter into our camp. We got to begin to be careful of those that's peeping into our camp, and knowing in this hour and in this season what they want to connect for, what are the real motives and what are the real agendas behind you wanting to connect, you wanting to just link up, you want to talk, or you want to start a conversation. And that's mostly how it starts, is you start the conversation pretending as if you're interested in how I'm doing or how someone is doing, let me say, or you're interested in the move of God and the timing of God and the will of God, but all the time, all the truth is that what's in the room is your motive isn't right, your motive isn't pure. You can be a family member, you can be a church member, you can be an auxiliary member, or it don't matter what kind of member you are, you can be anybody. It can be anybody trying to peep in and spy in on what you're doing, so the enemy would use them to try to stop you from succeeding and moving forward, because sometimes people can feel when you just about to get a breakthrough or sense, and I'm not saying under the Spirit of God, because that ain't nothing but the enemy, because sometimes people use their prophetic gift for ill will motives, and because they can see, and sometimes they will operate outside of the Spirit of God, even though a prophet can do that as well. And that's why you have to be careful in this hour and in this season to make sure that you're not tapping into anything other than the Spirit of God, because it's a lot of charismatic witchcraft out here. There's a lot of divination out here, people saying that they're seeing and things of that nature, and and they are sensing what's going on, but the most of them are working out of a familiar spirit. And so I'm just saying all this to say, be careful who you have in your camp in this hour and in this season. Be careful who you begin to vent to. Be careful who you begin to open up to in this hour and in this season. I know I just posted about 2 weeks ago that sugar and salt look alike, and they do. They very similar, but they come in different type of packages. But when you unravel them, if you picking up a handful of salt and you might have a sugar in there, guess what? That sugar was coated with that salt, and you picked it up and you opened up that sugar first, not knowing what you opening. You got to pay attention in this hour and in this season to those that's in your atmosphere and environment, and those that want to begin to come in. And I'm telling you, let me tell you, my friend, if you're seeing a snake in a dreams or in a vision, it can be an open vision. You can just be sitting there and you begin to see a snake head. I'm telling you, be careful in this hour, because nothing happens by mishap or happenstance. Everything happens for a reason, but it's up to us to know what that reason is and the reason why it's happening. Warning come before destruction, and destruction just before a fall. So I said that to say, be careful who you're entertaining in this hour and in this season. Be sure to make your self known when you're dealing with other people, and your motives and their motives. You know what I'm saying? So I'm just beginning to realize that sometimes when God cut people off and we happen to go back and pick them up and we go back and deal with them, guess what? We're open a door that God closes. But sometimes we can begin to forfeit what God is doing. So just be careful in this hour and in this season of to whom you're connecting to, and who wanting to work with you, and who wanting to be on your team and wanting you to be on their team. And that's another thing, that another hidden agenda. Some people want you to be on their team, but you know what? They don't want to the relationship to be mutually beneficial. They just want you to be beneficial to them, and when they're done with you, they through with you. They shunning you out the way until they need you the next time. So open your eyes in this season and in this hour, because there are a lot of people, hearts have waxed cold, and they're just going around and around in circles, going through the motions of life, just doing and allowing to be done, and what I mean by to allowing to be done, whatever they do, they're beginning to just do it. It doesn't matter to them. They're not doing it with compassion. They're just doing it just to say that they have another stream of income. Just using that as an example, they just doing it just because they had nothing else to do. Because sometimes people move out of boredom, and respond off of boredom. So, they be bored and they find something to do, especially if they're used to working all the time. So if they're used to working all the time, then guess what? They're going to respond out of boredom, because they always got to have something to do and find something to do. So with that being said, in this hour and in this season, I'm telling you, be careful of the hidden agendas of people and their motives in this hour, because everybody that says to you, oh, you my friend, and I know you this, you that, and the other, baby, I plead the fifth. You better try to open your eyes and make sure that, their season isn't up for that individual, because sometimes when we open doors that God has shut, hey, it's just, it's ugly. He'll allow us to do what we want to do if we're not being spirit-led in this hour. It's time to be spirit-led in this hour and in this season, because guess what? The enemy is on high alert, and he will use those closest to you. It doesn't matter who it is. As long as he can devour something and somebody that he know that God is fixing to use and thrust forth, guess what? He'll use them, and he'll send them by any means necessary. If they get a foothold in there, he gonna continue to send reinforcements to make that hole even bigger, and he gonna use the wisdom. Try to use the wisdom that he need to destroy what is getting ready to happen. That's why you have to be on high alert in this hour and in this season. So if you got to do something by yourself in this hour, hey, start it. Do it by yourself. It ain't going to kill you. It ain't going to hurt you. Guess what? It's just going to excel you, and you'll be able to hear, and you won't have all the clutter around you that you got to try to clear out the clutter. So I'm telling you, in this time, just begin to make sure you're hearing God and you're allowing God to lead, guide, and direct you. Don't ignore the red flags. Don't ignore the stop signs. Don't even ignore the yield signs, because sometimes if you don't see a car coming, you still need to yield anyway, because you can have a blind side and a car come and you didn't even see that car, but you just barely yield, going through the yield sign. So don't even ignore the yield signs. And sometimes even when there's a green light, you got to still take precaution, because sometimes people don't pay attention and they run the red light. Sometimes I use myself as an example. I was at this red light, and there was two lights on the strip that I was on, and my light was red, but the light in front of me that I was looking at had turned green, and I moved on that light. And I'm telling you, it can happen. So you just have to pay attention. And God in heaven knows I wasn't trying to do that. But I'm just saying, we have to be careful in this hour and in this season, even on a green light, is what I'm saying. The light may have been green at the second light, but my light was still red. But the cross lights were green. I'm going straight, and the cross lights were green. So, had turned yellow. I'm sorry. They had turned yellow, and the light ahead of me had turned green, and I was looking at the wrong light, and I moved on that light. So with that being said, you have to even take precaution with a green light, because sometimes, some things may seem like a go, and it's not a go. Sometimes we can miss God, and we have to acknowledge that that, hey, Lord, I missed you. Lord, forgive me. Lord, try me one more time in this. Let me get this thing right this time. So out of all you're getting, get an understanding of every relationship, every associate, every friendship, and begin to put it in this respectful place in this time and in this season. And just know that the best is yet to come. This have been yours truly, Raw Truth and Uncut. This is yours truly, also What's in the Room. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for supporting me. And out of all you're getting on today, get an understanding.